Hi, Shanna Rowe Jackson here from Caution Artists at Play, and this is actually future editing Shanna because I wanted to say a couple things before the video gets started. First of all, I wanted to apologize that this video is a week late. I didn't put out a video last week because I was finishing my last week of school ever. So that also means that my senior exhibition is now available for virtual viewing, and I am going to put that in the description below. So if you are interested in seeing what I've been working on for the past few months for my senior thesis project, you can see that at the link below. Also, I wanted to mention that when I first planned on doing this video, which I've been planning on doing this video for a while, I had done a search. I think it was like a month ago that I ordered the supplies to do this video. I had done a search on YouTube and just to see if anybody else had done a comparison between these two colored pencils, and I hadn't seen anything at that time. However, as I'm editing this video, I did another search and it would seem that somebody else has also reviewed these pencils since the last time I did a search on it, and so I'm also going to link that person's video in the description below so that you can see how another artist has reviewed these pencils as well, so you can get more than one viewpoint. All right, so without any further blabbering on, here's the video. Today I am going to have a little fun and compare these two sets of colored pencils. I have the Crayola here and the Prang. Let's take a look at these. These are the 24 set of each. Each of these is under $10. When I bought them from Amazon, I got the Prang set for $5.33 and the Crayola set for $2.99. So the Crayola is actually cheaper than the Prang, but these are still both obviously very cheap colored pencils, especially when you compare it to some of the leading brands such as Prismacolor, which is now probably on the lower end of professional quality since their quality has gone down. And the Prismacolor set of 24 you can't get for under like $20, I think. I think it's like $19 and something. So they are obviously, even though this one's a little bit more expensive than this one, they are still obviously both very, very cheap. So I'm going to take a look at them, and I kind of want to just see the colors that we have. So we're going to start off with the classic Crayola. Nice range of colors here. We do have a black and a white and a gray. So good neutral colors and lots of bright colors, which is what they're known for. They come pre-sharpened. The color of the barrel obviously is the same as the lead, which is classic in a lot of the cheaper brands, and I think very convenient. Yeah, very lightweight. There's not a whole lot of information. They say they're long-lasting, pre-sharpened, medium quality, bright, bold colors preferred by teachers. And it has the list of the colors on the back. It obviously doesn't have any light fast information. It does say that they're long-lasting, but it doesn't say that they're actually light fast because they are usually created for kids. But the reason why I am doing this video is because there's a lot of people stuck at home right now, and some people might want to start getting into art but might not have the supplies. They might have their kids' supplies laying around and they might want to try this out. So I'm comparing these two brands because even if you don't have them laying around, you can get them for very cheap, and I just want to see what you can get, like which one has more bang for the buck. So here are the Prang ones. They look very similar to the Crayola ones. The Prang ones feel a little bit thicker, a little bit heavier. If you see here, interestingly enough, the cores are centered on both of them, so that's great to see. Too bad Prismacolor couldn't follow along on that. So these ones are a little bit heavier, a little bit thicker, maybe a little bit easier to hold in the hand. Obviously, these are typically made for children. Both brands are. However, again, this video was for adults on a budget, beginners who want to maybe play around with this medium but don't want to spend a whole lot of money and don't want to shell out a bunch of cash for, you know, the more expensive brands. So already this one feels a little bit more comfortable in an adult hand because they're a little bit thicker and they feel a little bit more high quality. So I am going to swatch these out and see how they compare color-wise. Okay, so as you can see, I have all the colors laid out here. This side is the Prang, this side is the Crayola. And on first glance, I see that the Crayola has a little bit more in the yellow range. And the Prang has one more, at least one more in the green range, which I like. And then if you compare, like, this one is natural. I guess that's the closest that they have to what Crayola would call peach. This is a little bit more on the pink side, at least the barrel. We don't know how well the barrel, like how accurate the barrels are to the actual core. So we'll see that when we start swatching. But this is our range of colors. It's pretty interesting to see. One thing to note is that Prang has gold and silver included in their set, which is just kind of fun if you're somebody who likes to be able to play around with those colors. I don't really see any reason to not have it. Like, there's not really anything in the Crayola set that replaces it that makes me think, oh wow, okay. I mean, this color is kind of fun. This one here, the aqua green. But yeah, so that's where it's at so far. And you can really see here how much thicker the Prang are compared to the Crayola, because the Crayola, like just this whole line, is a lot smaller. It looks like there's less pencils there, but there's not. There's 24 in each set. So there's that. And the Prang box also doesn't say anything about light fastness. Again, these are typically meant for kids. So if you are a beginner and you want to try a colored pencil, but you want to do it on a budget, just be aware that these are not tested for light fastness. Neither brand is, and so they're probably not necessarily archival. You wouldn't want to necessarily sell the work, but these potentially could be good for practicing. Okay, so I'm going to start swatching them, and then eventually I will do a project with them so we can really compare them. The gold and the silver are not very shimmery. And the white, obviously on white paper, doesn't seem to be very opaque when I go over things. But it could be used possibly as a way to mask or to preserve white, which is probably what we're going to have to do with both of these sets, because white, it's really hard to find a really good white pencil, even in professional brands. So that's the swatches for the Prang. Okay, so here we are with the swatches. This is kind of messy, so I apologize. A few things that stand out to me within each set is the yellows in both sets look very similar to their own. And light blue and blue look similar to each other. This just kind of looks like a faded version of the blue in the Crayola set. But so far, it looks like Crayola is more vibrant, which is very exciting. A little bit, maybe a little bit waxier and easier to blend. I think the Prang might be a little harder. Of course, it's hard to tell because I'm a lefty, and so this might have been a little bit lighter because I couldn't put my hand down. Another thing that I kind of wanted to show you was a comparison with a Prismacolor Premier. So I brought down a green Prismacolor Premier from the studio to try and kind of compare it a little bit. Obviously, the Prismacolor Premier is an artist grade pencil in comparison. And then I did the Prang and the Crayola. Clearly, the Prismacolor is much more vibrant than both of them. And then it kind of looks like Crayola is coming in second, and then Prang. But again, we will know better once I work on my project and I have a side-by-side in an actual piece, which I will be doing next. So now I am going to start the actual project. I'm going to show you, this is my preliminary sketch that I did. It's just a little freehand, and as you can see, it's really messy. I just used a Bic mechanical pencil, which I generally use these anyways, but this is going to be a use what you have kind of project. So basically, I'm using materials that most people would have laying around their house. I am going to use some rubbing alcohol for blending with some Q-tips, and I am basically using sketchbook paper. I'm using a mixed media sketchbook, but this is still a fairly inexpensive sketchbook. It's just the smaller one, and I will link everything in the description below. So I sketched it out on here, and then I put this piece of paper against it and put it on my window and use that as a makeshift light box. So you don't have to have an expensive light box, but I do recommend that you do your preliminary sketch on one piece of paper and then switch it over to another, regardless of what kind of materials you're using, because as you can see, I'm a lefty. I smeared this everywhere. It's kind of darker. Well, it looks darker now because I had to trace it, but I had to make it darker so I could see it more easily. But basically, you can see all these smears, and that would show through, especially with a fairly inexpensive pencil, because these are not going to be the most opaque pencils on the earth. So I have it split between two sides, and I'm going to do Crayola on one and Prang on the other. I think I will start on the Prang side, so that way there I'm not smearing anything. And I will be switching to time-lapse and voiceover for that so that we can speed this along a little bit. Okay, so let's talk about these Prang colored pencils. The first thing that I noticed while swatching was that the black colored pencil doesn't get very dark. It's kind of a warm black. It doesn't get as deep as I would like. And I guess overall, it was really difficult to get nice rich shadows in all the colors. And so I think that probably is due to the fact that there's going to be a lot of high wax content and high filler content and lower pigmentation because they are student grade colored pencils. So I'm really not all that surprised by that. As I mentioned before, they have a thicker barrel, which makes it easier to hold. However, they feel heavier than the Crayola, but the wood itself sucks. Like, sharpening these really sucked. It shredded the wood and it made it difficult to get to the core when I was trying to sharpen, and it was kind of aggravating because these feel like they're a little bit harder than the Crayola. However, I couldn't get a fine point on that, so it was kind of, that part was a little bit aggravating. However, they did blend well. I was able to burnish with them, and I was able to blend them out really well with alcohol. So that was a plus. I remember these being more vibrant from when I was a kid. These were one of my favorite sets when I was a kid, and I don't know if they've changed their formula since then. It's been a lot of years since I have played with either of these colored pencils, and I just kind of remember them being more vibrant. However, that could also be because I'm so used to working with other brands of colored pencils now. But I was able to go in with detail, which is obviously one of the pluses to working with colored pencil anyway. The colors themselves, it was kind of odd because some of them matched the barrel and some of them didn't, and I found that in both brands. But I also don't think that that's uncommon even in some of our favorite artist brands either. Overall, though, I actually had a pleasant experience with these pencils, other than the struggles in the shadows and with the sharpening. Okay, so now I am going to do the Crayola side. As I mentioned before, the black colored pencil in the Crayola line seems to be a little bit darker and a little bit cooler, which was really helpful. And other than that, the rest of the colors weren't as vibrant as I was expecting. They don't seem to be that much more vibrant than the Prang. They are pretty much level. They seem vibrant when I first put them down, but after blending with alcohol and doing some burnishing and letting them dry and even coming back and relayering, some of the colors didn't seem to be any more vibrant than some of the colors in the Prang line. Really, where it has it is the black colored pencil. The white pencil sucked in both brands. It was difficult to burnish with it. You certainly couldn't get highlights with it, but again, I'm not all that surprised because it's hard to find a good white colored pencil, even in artist brands. However, I thought that it was neat that there was a few similarities within the brands in the fact that some of the colors were the same. The sky blue, for instance, was almost exactly the same. It seemed a little bit waxier and easier to blend in the Crayola brand. However, some of the colors were very similar. And the Crayola brand was much easier to sharpen, which made it so much easier to get fine detail. So they do feel a bit waxier, which was nice because I didn't have to layer as much, but they also seem to layer a little bit better. So I think they might have less filler than the Prang, which is kind of cool because obviously you want to have, you know, more pigment and less filler. However, the final result really, like I said, doesn't end up being that much different. And I do want to apologize for it going off screen for the last part. That's one of the hazards of working from my coffee table.
So I can't really tell the difference. This is the finished piece, and I really can't tell the difference. I think that maybe the black in the Crayola is a little bit darker, so the background shadows are a little bit better with Crayola. But other than that, I can't really tell a difference. So I'm gonna have to say I would go with Crayola because it's a little bit cheaper if you're gonna do one or the other. But if you have the Prang, it's really not that different. If you are a beginner and you want to try colored pencil and get to know it a little bit more, I would go with Crayola. It tends to be a little bit darker, maybe a little bit more vibrant, but they feel very similar when working with them, other than the fact that the Prang is a little bit more comfortable to hold. Crayola might be more easily available and it is cheaper, so I'm going to have to go with Crayola on this one. Alright, so I hope that you liked this video. Thank you so much for watching. Let me know in the comments below which one you like better. Do you think Crayola has it or do you think Prang has it? I will see you next time. Thank you for watching. Bye. Hey guys, thanks for watching. If you like what you see, please hit subscribe. Also, if you're interested in seeing more of my artwork, I'm on social media, so check out the links in the description below.